Welcome to FARMcast, a production of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln Center for Agricultural Profitability. For many farm and ranch families, succession planning may begin with the legal document, but those are only one piece of a much larger process. A successful transition and succession plan takes time and includes thoughtful business, estate, and sunset planning, all working together to ensure the long-term success of the operation and the family behind it. Because each of these components plays a unique role, we're launching a 4-part mini-series exploring the key building blocks of a strong succession plan. Throughout the series, we'll be joined by Nebraska Extension professionals Anastasia Meyer and Jessica Grosskopf, the team behind the Nebraska Land Link program, as they share practical strategies and real-world insights to help farm and ranch families prepare for the future. In today's episode, Anastasia explains where every succession plan should begin. We'll discuss the conversations to have, the goals to identify, and the professionals you'll want on your team before making important decisions.
Today, we want to talk about how to get started. A lot of people are often overwhelmed by the whole transition process. You'll hear us say transition plans. You'll often hear the word succession plan being thrown about too in other circles. And we like to use the word transition plan because we think a transition plan is really the ideal thing. It's a gradual and carefully thought out plan and how to shift your farm or ranch to the next generation or the new owners if they're not related. It's going to include the timelines of when is this going to happen? What exactly is going to happen? What are those milestones that you are looking for? It's not a one-day process. This is probably going to take a minimum of 3 to 5 years. So we need to be thinking about this long term and be able to adjust this. This is a never-ending process. Most importantly are those written agreements. You'll hear Jessica and I say a lot that it's not real unless it's in writing. And that's really because a lot of families have good intentions, but without those written agreements, it's just empty promises. And we always just think about death for succession plan, but really we need to be thinking about disability, divorce, bankruptcies, disagreements in the family. Do you want to retire? We can adjust our transition plan when the good things in life happens too. Births, maybe you have a new child, a grandchild, or somebody else wants to come back and take over your farm when none of your heirs did, right? These are all things that we can be changing our transition plans. And so by starting this, theoretically or hopefully we can get that plan started that we can make those minor adjustments and we can see how the cash flow demands are and how we incorporate somebody else into the operation. So it's often a balancing act, right? We have the owners. You'll hear us say the golden rule of estate planning is whoever owns the gold gets to make the rules. And these are their concerns, right? They don't want to be pushed out. You have spent your life building up or maintaining this farm or ranch. You like to be in control. You don't want to be pushed out. They don't want to talk about death or disability. Thinking about your own demise is really hard. And that's why, this is a big fear for everybody. The owners are afraid that the operation will fail. They might not be financially stable enough to retire. And you'll hear us talk about a lot in different presentations. Asset rich and cash poor. They might not simply have the cash to retire or step back and start this transition plan. And they want the kids to get along. The heirs who are returning to the operation, they don't want to just be the laborer. They want a clear plan with outlines and deadlines and what exactly does that look for them. They want to minimize their risk. They want financial independence and they don't want to be at the mercy of their other siblings, whether they are on the farm or off the farm. They want to have some stake in this transition plan and operation. So first thing that we need to do in getting started is recognize who is on your team. Do you have anybody that is working with you on this transition plan? Do you have a lawyer yet? There are many lawyers who work with estate planning. I personally recommend somebody that you find who focuses on agricultural estate planning, because your farm is a lifestyle and a business. And, that's something that if you're not really familiar with, it's hard to understand. Do you have a tax professional? Do you have a banker, a financial planner? Do you need to look at a farm manager? All of these different people can be on your team to have a really good transition plan.
Thanks for listening to another episode of FARMcast, a production of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln Center for Agricultural Profitability. For more succession and transition planning information and resources, please visit cap@cap.unl.edu.